and then your
And then,
feet hurt.
yeah,
and then, and then.
and then.
That's the best part about talking to kids is it just never stops.
She does get very excitable when she talks about it. And then you'll never believe what happened. First we walked 5 steps, and then we walked some more, and then I'm like, baby, I get it. Guess what? She always says, guess what? And
Yeah.
guess what? I'm like, surprise me. I don't know.
I love the guess what part. It always cracks me up. And guess what? What?
You'll never believe it. They're like, oh yeah.
I've never been there a day in my life. Tell me every single thing you ever saw.
Oh boy, that is a question I'm sure that or a statement you definitely don't want to say around my child.
I bet. I can imagine her like trying to talk to some other kid that's just like never been to Disney before, and she's like, "Let me tell you everything."
Right.
She'll have like each little store and ride memorized and be like, "And there's this and this."
Well, I mean, she does legit straight up watch like behind the scene Disney videos
Yeah.
in like that's her jam on YouTube. So, yeah, no, she's about that life.
You think she's gonna one day when she's graduated, she's gonna go to Disney and either just work there or do whatever the college thing that they have is. They also have
I
a
don't
culinary project thing there too.
Yeah, they I don't know. I mean, she knows about it. I know that she kind of wants to be an Imagineer. Like she wants to build the rides, and they used to have this really cool thing where you could have lunch or dinner with an Imagineer. Like they would bring on somebody like, and you could just sit there and for however long just have a dinner with them and talk to them about the rods they designed and stuff like that. And then they stopped because of COVID, and I don't know if they've started it back up. But that's something I'd really like to do. And I know Amy wants to do it, but
Yeah.
Amy's not old enough to do it. I think they got to be 14 to do it.
Oh,
Because
really?
they don't. Yeah, they don't. I can kind of understand.
Like
'Cause
I
you
do
kinda,
get it, yeah. But like,
You know.
I feel like 14's even still like kind of young to be like, oh yeah. But I
Yeah.
guess you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's
So
cool. I didn't know that.
it was really cool. I hope they do bring it back because I think that would be fun, at least for me and her to do, to sit down and talk to somebody and be like, all right, how do you even approach something like a Guardians of the Galaxy ride? You know, which is apparently just a marvel in technology and fun. I'm the only one in our family who hasn't ridden it yet. That
was gonna
and
say.
Tron.
I haven't been on either of those rides. I think Tron came shortly after I went. Lame. Also, I haven't seen the like Star Wars. Uh, yeah,
The Rise of the Resistance.
yeah. There's like a lot of stuff that I just like have
That
not
rise
seen.
that Rise of the Resistance is the truth. It is very cool. I was actually talking about it earlier today with somebody. Um, I was trying to explain to someone who is a Star Wars fan who's never even like seen pictures of the ride, and I'm like, dude, it's hard to put into words to be like, here's what I could tell you what's going to happen, but nothing prepares you for when you see it. There's a part when you walk out into a literal hangar filled with stormtroopers with a full-size TIE fighter in the corner, and it looks like you're legitimately out in space. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You know, and my kids were laughing at me because I was truly speechless. And he was just like, man, that sounds cool. I'm like, it's even cooler when you see it.
Nice, nice.
No. All right.
I'm looking where you like linked the Threads app,
Mm-hmm.
and I've obviously like heard about it because you know I love my social medias, but like I wasn't like fully sure about what it was, so I knew it was like through Instagram, and I saw people talking about it. But you can't delete this thing unless you delete your Instagram account. kind of wild.
Uh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Well, I mean, it's kind of like it's
But
kind of like the way like Facebook and Instagram are connected.
yeah,
You
but
know, like
like
it's
that's no. That's not like the same thing though, because you have like to get rid of like the entire Threads profile, like your Instagram has to be gone. So it's like, why would I That's just weird. Whatever. I'll
yeah.
probably read the rest of this thing out later. What else is in it for? Meta.
I mean,
Meta
I think I
bullshit.
I think it's just interesting. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and start this and get into it. Hello, everybody. Hey, how's it going? We'll just say we started this. I don't know. I'll throw it in somewhere, and we started it because I just like where this conversation's going. Um, so no, I really dig that Threads just came out and just put their dick on the table and was like, "Hey, we're Threads. You don't like Twitter no more? We got you, fam. Come on." And literally over the course of like 12 hours, 30 million people were like, "Yes. Yes, please."
Yeah.
And it is now like the number one app on the App Store. It's, you know, and it's been a wild like 48, 72 hours since Thread launched, because I was starting to really get fed up with Twitter. And I'm sure I'm probably going to get fed up with this soon too. But it's just that, man, like Facebook, I haven't really been a Facebook fan for years now because it just
Mm.
seems just like, eh.
Yeah.
Um,
All that's on
and
there are like moms that are like, this is what my kids are doing. And then to be moms that are like, we're excited about our kids coming. And then old people. That's like all
yeah,
that's on Facebook now.
and it also seems like I'm using it more for like groups now.
Yeah, me
Like,
too.
you know, like, hey, here's like the cosplay group and the Mandalorian group and the podcast group and all these other groups, you know, that I'm a part of. And that's what I mainly use it for now. Like, a lot of my friends have migrated away from it. So Facebook, I think that they're going to switch and kind of, if they were smart, it would be less of a kind of like, hey, here's what my family's up to app, and be like, it's a group place for you to like be part of groups. That's where I think it's going to go. And it's Instagram. I've never really been a big fan of Instagram because I just don't post that many pictures, which is a wild thing to say. Or if I do, I post them on Facebook, you know,
Yeah.
which I suppose I could make the change and put them on Instagram. I don't know. I just never really got on board with it, which is weird. And Twitter just seems like it's just been so full of piss and vinegar lately. Just, I hate to say this, but ever since Elon took over,
Yeah, it's been pretty shit.
yeah, it's been kind of shit, and I just don't like it. I just don't like it, and I really hope that that old Threads comes in and it's just like, nope, we got you, fam. We're gonna do some good stuff. Come on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see.
Does that mean so if it's connected through your Instagram account, does that mean there's going to be a bunch of old people just like making Instagram accounts that they're like, I don't know what any of this is, to then have to make a Threads?
Oh,
Cuz
I don't
or
know.
is
This
it
might.
linked like also through Facebook? That's crazy.
I don't know, but bet you, I bet you they're just going to create at some point. It would make more sense for you just to create a singular Meta account, merge all your stuff together into one singular Meta account, and then that's your Facebook, your Instagram, your Threads, your Oculus, because I have all of those things.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that you just create one singular Meta account, and boom, you're good to go. You're off to the races. Now, will we get there? I don't know. I don't know the infrastructure of this kind of thing. So, yeah, we'll see.
I'm looking through this thing that you sent. And so like the new CEO of Twitter is acknowledging the fact that like they're calling oh no. So no, this is the CEO of Threads apparently. She is like acknowledging the fact that Twitter is like irreplaceable. And then there's this quote that says, "We often imitated, but the Twitter community can never be duplicated." That's kind of like a crazy like type of thing to say because Twitter has been going on for like a hot minute.
Right.
I've been
And
on Twitter since like
it's
2011. Which is crazy to
yeah,
think about.
and it's wild to say something as brash as Twitter is irreplaceable because that's some MySpace talk right there. You know,
Yeah, but
I,
people are still on MySpace. No,
but
not
not
MySpace. I was thinking of something different.
okay. But I
I'm
remember how
thinking of
big MySpace was before Facebook came around. And I was a very, like, I did not want to get on Facebook. I was like, Facebook is dumb. Why would I get on this when I have MySpace, which does the same thing? And now I look back on that and be like, that was a dumb way to think. Um, and to say something like Twitter is irreplaceable when literally over the last 6 months, that platform has been ran into the ground. It has lost a ton of money in advertising. People have jumped ship. Just it seems to be mishandled from the moment it was sold.
Yeah.
It's wild to say something that it's irreplaceable, and it says we're often imitated, but it can never be duplicated. And at this point, do people want a duplicate Twitter? Do we want Twitter to be duplicated?
It's not that I want like Twitter to obviously be duplicated because I don't want someone like Elon running it, but I would love something that's like similar. Since I have been on Twitter for so long and it is like my number one app that I use, I could spend freaking hours on Twitter if I would just like pretend I don't exist to the world, to be honest, because I can find like a lot of different types of medias and like cool things to look and follow.
Mm-hmm.
And so if like Twitter does go to shit, I'm just going to be sitting around being like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Well, have you got on the threads yet?
I have not. I guess I'll
It's
take a look
it's
at it at some
very
point.
Twitter.
Is
Like
it?
it is. Yes, it's very Twitter. I think if you give it a month, once everyone kind of gets on board with Twitter, because I mean we're so early into it. Like a lot of people have not gotten onto it yet, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I get it, especially like slowly over the last couple days since I signed up for it. I get notifications. Oh, hey, so and so's finally on it now. You're now following this person because you import everybody that you follow from Instagram.
Yeah, but I
So
kind of hate that. Like, I don't want to follow necessarily everyone
well,
I follow
well,
on
it
there.
it gives you the option to pick and choose. So it's not like either you can just follow all or you can go through and pick who you want to follow.
Fair enough.
Or, you know, whenever they come online, you can follow them. So I mean, it gives you a little bit of options, and I'm sure that especially over the next year or so, there will probably be a big overhaul where it will probably morph into something that is more. I don't know. I don't even know if there's a character limit. I didn't even look and see that.
Oh,
Is there a character limit? 500 character limit. Okay, so a little bit bigger than Twitter. So, yeah, I think it's gonna probably morph into something that's gonna be a Facebook replacement without the groups, and then Facebook will just be groups. That's my prediction for this whole thing.
okay.
And we'll see. And then they'll probably just call Facebook be like groups. So
The homes. And then all the old people are like, I don't get it.
I don't know what this Instagram is. I need to go to Truth Social.
Oh, goodness.
Oh man. We kind of jumped right into this, and I didn't get a chance to ask you how your week was, Raven. How was your week?
My week, it was a little bit of a struggle to be back from grooming
Yeah.
after being off for a week. I'm not even gonna lie. So many of like my first few days, I was like, man, do I even know how to do this anymore? Did I lose like all of my speed and like skill? Who am I? But eventually it just like clicked back in because my first day was rough. This Monday, I was just like, oh my God, I'm just so behind today. I felt like I was just like dragging along. And I'd look at the clock and I'd be like, no, somehow I'm still doing everything on time. This is wild. But, we had 4th of July this week, obviously. Uh, my family came back from Ireland and Scotland. Their whole plane system got messed up to the point that my aunt and uncle are like, we're not flying this airline anymore. They have one more trip planned for somewhere else out of the country. And then they were like, we're never flying there again. Like, I was like, oh, it was bad. They were very upset.
Wow.
But they were glad to just be home. And then they like hung out in the pool all day on Monday. And then they were like, does anyone want to do fireworks? We're all so sleepy. And I was like, I'm not doing fireworks because it's so hot and muggy outside. You guys do whatever you want to
Sideways
do.
into
I'm gonna
one
go
of the
drug my
greatest,
dog so they don't freak
we'll call
out.
it life hacks. Give them
That's,
THC. I think I
gummies.
found
Ooh.
in recent times.
Give them the good.
For
good.
anybody who has an office job, particularly a government office job like your boy, we have to fill out annual appraisals every year. And part of those annual appraisals is we have to fill out what are called bullet statements. And that's basically you put in things that you've accomplished over the last year. You're basically writing your own review. Your supervisor comes in and is like, yep, he's a great employee and all these things are correct. And here's an extra bullet statement that I've created just for you. And then they send it up and you get a rating and some money or some time off or something like that. And I hate writing bullet statements. I hate it because they want you to write them in a certain way and you got to add all this extra flair and stuff like that. And I was talking to my buddy Wednesday who sits in my cube and I was like, man, I just read some article about artificial intelligence and I was like, man, AI is really just doing super cool things, man. Like, it can straight up like write these like show pitches and descriptions of stuff you give it, like just the bare minimum of information. And it's like, oh, hey, here's like, you gave me 3 sentences. I'm going to give you 3 paragraphs of just the best thing you've ever written. And I said, I wonder if it could write, hold on a second. So then I put in like the bare minimum and I said, I put in the bare minimum. Was like, hey, write me a bullet statement in this format. And I wrote like 3 sentences down and it came back a very like bare bones kind of thing. And I said, write that statement again with more flair and make it sound more important. And it just started and it just came back with just this word salad of just witnessed an exceptional display of expertise as a visionary of a team member authored in unparalleled documents.
Ooh.
This visionary directive paved the way for the seamless installation of a cutting-edge touchpad mount, unlocking its technical upgrade capabilities. Enhance the communication and functionality achieved within the esteemed system. Like, it was wild. I'm like, what in the hell is this? I cannot wait to put this in my appraisal. My Chat GPT is going to write my appraisal next year. So y'all just strap in.
Hey, you do what you got to do, man.
Like, I had to rein it in. I had to be like, rewrite that, but don't be quite as fancy.
You're like, oh, hey, y'all getting crazy with it now.
Right. You're coming back. You're putting me at the top of the mountain. Like, I appreciate that, but I did not save those babies from the burning building. So, So yeah, it's bonkers, man. Artificial intelligence is going to be great, and I can't wait to see where it takes us. And I, for one, love our future robot overlords. For the record,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Suck
yeah,
up to him now. I,
I
for
don't want to be
one,
in the
am
capsule.
not gonna be in the AI war. I'll be fighting against them bitches. I don't know how, because they'll be smarter than me, but I'll figure it out. There'll be someone smart on my team that can, you know, figure some other stuff out. Maybe we'll terminate this shit and just go back in time and be like, hey, don't do that. Who knows? But I've heard about like the whole like little review things. That's crazy that you're just having to be like, yeah, I'm gonna just write this shit up. Here you go. We're gonna say I'm good. When Chris went to Regal Corporate, he asked his boss Helen, was like, "Hey, will you write me like a good little thing to try and help me get in there?" And she's like, "I'm a little busy. If you write it, I'll reread it and just like sign off on it." And Chris was just like, "Okay." Cuz she was like, "You're a little better with like wording and stuff, whatever. Go for it." And so then he like types it all up and is like, "Okay, Helen, here. Read that." And she's like, "Wow, look at you, Mr. Big Shot." I mean, he got the job, whatever. But that's just crazy. I love that stuff.
I very much think that I joke with the guys at work about how we just turned the most mundane thing into, our bullets for our appraisals. Every year I try to sneak in like one nonsensical bullet of just like the most mundane part of our job, like, changing a light bulb or something, or just, extrapolated or developed and devised a plan of action for adjusting the lighting situation within the office, or just really put some flair on just something mundane. And every year it's always worked. I've slipped something in and they've never said anything yet.
Nice.
So yeah, it's super cool. It's the little things you got to do to
Of
make a
course.
job, especially office jobs, entertainment or entertaining, excuse me. So
Fair. I just listen to like podcasts and books, see
I
some
do,
cute dogs, you know.
well, I try to listen to podcasts, man, but people straight up have something in their brain where it's like, oh, Mark just put his headphones in. I'm going to turn around and talk to him now.
Of course.
I have not talked to him all day long, but Mark just put his headphones in. So let's go see Mark. And sure enough, man, it happens almost daily. And I can't complain about it because I like it when people come and talk to me. So hooray. I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
You're like a puppy when like it sees people starting to walk towards it and it's like, oh, is that for me? Hello? Hi?
I am. I'm very much excited puppy energy. People come in and start talking and I'm like, "Yes."
That's
Oh.
cute. Uh if anyone has any like good recommendations on podcasts, I have listened to a lot. But I'm kind of like picky about my podcasts that I listen to be honest. I really only listen to like true crime and like murder type podcasts. I do listen to one that's called Chilluminati, and Chris, of course, put me on that one. But it's like they look at so many different things. They look at like aliens and other creatures like Mothman and all that crazy stuff out there. But then every now and then one of them likes to do some like serial killers because he's super into it. And he's like, hey guys, I'm going to tell you guys about this little person. And they're like, what the heck? These people are insane. They're probably as insane as your belief in aliens and blah, blah, blah. But it's cool. But Yeah. I listened to that podcast, Drinking the Kool-Aid. Wait, was that the one that I listened to? Yeah. I listened to that one for a little bit. I listened to My Favorite Murder. That one's my go-to. I re-listen to episodes of that one constantly. Um, but yeah, I've got a lot of other ones, but I don't need to list them all. So I did all that while I'm grooming dogs, and in between that, I'll like listen to a book, which I'm currently listening to a series. But my library card expired, so now I actually have to change my address over to Knoxville so I can get it renewed here.
Oh, you nerd.
I have to do something.
You got a library card?
Yeah, I got a library card so I can get free books without having to you don't have to pay for like a membership to like Audible. You don't have to pay for just like the single book that you'll listen to once and then be like, damn, now I paid $15 to hear someone tell me a story that I thought was mid. You know? One of those things. It's great.
No.
And then like my family and I do a book club thing anyways. So it also really helps because my mom uses the same uh, program as I do. So typically our books are like in the same little format, but now that I'm in Knoxville and not Chattanooga, I'm like, oh no, what if she picks a book and they don't have it at the Knoxville library? And then I'm going to be like, hey Debbie, I'm not listening to your book this week or this month, whatever. But I'm currently listening to A Court of Thorns and Roses. I listened to the first one and the second one, which the second one was weird because it's like an audio thing. That way, people who are blind can basically have like a whole, like, oh, it's an imagination that I can like hear everything and blah blah blah. But it's a little weird because Chris had read these books before, and I told him, oh, one of my friends recommended this book, but said it was kind of weird because it's, as she called it, fairy porn. And your brother was like, I've read those. It's not fairy porn. And I will disagree with him because as I'm listening to it, I'm like, I'm sorry, did you read the same book that I'm listening to? Because this is crazy. Some of the stuff that I'm listening to, I'm just like, all right, we can fast forward through some of this. Just do the cool like elf stuff and go fight some crazy things going on. Do you have any like podcast recommendations or anything that you've been listening to?
Man, I've actually this week I've been listening to I'm re-listening to the first book in the Percy Jackson series.
Mm.
My kid asked to put it on her phone so she could listen to it, and I was like, you know what? Let me come back to this, and because it's a fun listen, it's very much falls in that young adult trope of a couple years ago where it's all written in first person perspective and um, and it follows a very particular formula where they say something and you learn something at the same time because it's all based around Greek mythology. And for the next however many books that this man wrote in this series, they all follow the exact same formula where it's just like, oh yeah, I remember that story of this Greek thing, and
Yeah.
they, give you a little bit of information on Greek mythology, and then you go back to the story. Um, so yeah, I'll probably find myself re-listening to this whole series now because I'm one of those people where once I start it, I gotta finish it.
I
So,
feel you. That's
or
why
at
I'm
least,
like doing the mind.
or at least get to the one part in. There's one book. It's the House of Hades, where for some reason they changed the narrator, and the new narrator is so bad that I
Oh.
absolutely cannot listen to that book. I have not made it through that book.
Oh.
And it's a heartbreaker because it's like the last two books in this, I don't know, 12 book series, I haven't listened to because the whoever they got to narrate them last two books is bad. So, but the first couple ones are pretty good, so go listen to that.
Nice. Very nice.
All right, I am
Speaking
about to.
of magical realms,
Yes. I'm so excited to talk about our movie this week. This is the first time I've watched a brand new movie, and just been like genuinely buzzing to talk about it with somebody. Um, so I'll do something because I don't think I've actually asked this question in a long time. Raven, this week we watched Nimona on Netflix. Did you like it?
I did. I had no idea about like anything about this movie because you were just like, yeah, I found this one movie on Netflix. Maybe we should check it out. It looks pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, okay. Whatever you want to do is cool. Chris and I watched it and we both really enjoyed it. It is so cute. It's so fun. It keeps you captivated like the entire time. And I love like the art style of it. I think it's really nice as opposed to like other things that you're used to seeing, I think. How'd you feel about it? Did you like it?
I love this movie. Um, this is the sleeper hit of the year, man. I very much, when I suggested this movie, I didn't know what to expect from it. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
very much similar, like, oh yeah, cool, we'll check it out or whatever. When I watched it and I sat down and really got to get invested in it, I was like, man, this movie is charming. It's got its own style of animation. It's got a great story that keeps you captivated. The voice acting's good in it. I was just, this is such a fun movie. And in the very, like, probably, it was like within the first 5 minutes of the movie, you get to know your characters or whatever, and our main knight character, it shows him sitting there getting ready to get knighted in this big ceremony, and his friend comes up and sits down next to him, and they're talking about being knighted, and oh man, you nervous? Yeah, I'm nervous. And then the one dude holds the other dude's hand and kind of leans and puts his head on his shoulder, and you kind of get the revelation that they're gay. And the first thought in my mind was, oh no, I can hear a million conservatives cry out in anguish. I was like, oh man, I didn't really feel like strong one way or the other. I was more just like, I could just wait to hear other people go, you know what, I turned that movie off within the first 5 minutes because they were pushing gay agenda or whatever it was.
Yeah.
This movie is so much more than that. I was on board, and I was all wrapped up in it. It gives you such a great dynamic that these two are in a relationship, because you can see the conflict that takes place when I guess the big kind of conflict happens, literally 2 minutes later in the film. There's so much to be kind of gained from that relationship, and then later on, because you're dealing with more than just like, oh, you're my best bud.
Yeah.
No, it was wonderful. And the story, what kind of turned me on to this in the first place is I was scrolling through Twitter, and because I follow a bunch of animators on Twitter, they were like, oh yeah, I worked on this scene for Nimona, and check it out. And they were showing like pencil drawings or pencil tests of of certain scenes, and someone brought up the story of how this had bounced around a bunch of studios before it landed at Netflix. Disney at one point had the rights to this movie, and was like, nope, we don't want it anymore. And then I think like every major studio had it at one point before Netflix got it, and I think everyone dropped the ball, man.
Yeah.
So
Blame on them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, what do you
As
think? Go ahead.
Oh, Chris and I were like, because I didn't even like know who was voicing in it. But like as soon as Ambrose came out, I was like, this dude, I already get the vibe. This is this little flirty man over here to his homie. And Chris and I were just like talking, and he's like, "Oh, Eugene Yang is in this," and I was like, and he's over there trying to be like, "Oh, I wonder who it is," and I was literally like, "Dude, it's this guy, it's totally this guy." And then he's like, it's supposed to be Ambrose Goldenloin," and then as soon as like the Queen announces his name, I was like, "Told you, I freaking know this guy." But I also like at the very beginning when it's like the announcers or something like that, I didn't realize, like, I was like, I know this voice, but I can't think of who it is. And it's freaking RuPaul. RuPaul was like one of the voices in here, and I was just like, well, that's fun. There's so many like good people in here that I'm just like, oh my god, I'm a little surprised by all this.
There is, and what's so wild about the voice cast is there's no one who's like there's no A-list person on here. Like obviously the
Yeah,
person with the highest like I guess star power is Chloe Grace Moretz who voiced Nimona, but everyone else is not like a Chris Pratt or a Jack Black or because we're coming off of Mario from last week
mm-hmm.
and like literally the first 5 credits are A-list on-screen actors,
Yeah,
and we're coming to this one where literally the first five, I mean everybody, you know who Chloe Grace Moretz is right off the top of your head. Hit Girl, obviously. RuPaul, we all know who RuPaul is. He's been around since the 80s, but everyone else, you know, we would probably know who like Eugene Yang is and Riz Ahmed, but
mm-hmm.
like most people wouldn't.
Yeah,
So,
I
so
love that.
yeah, it's great that they just picked the best people for the job instead of going, we're going to cast for whoever's going to bring eyes to the thing.
True.
So,
And
oh, sorry. I really dug the, the kind of aesthetic of this whole world that we were living in, like this future retro tech, kind of this future medieval society that they were all living in.
yeah,
That was I love that kind of concept where it's just like, nope, it's cool. Like we got knights and shields and armor, and we probably got some dragons floating around here somewhere. But guess what? We also have big screens and floating cars. So
yeah. I was
yeah,
not expecting that, like at all. What at some point I was like, wait a second, these people have phones. Wait a second, what is happening here? So I like that it is like that, like setback style of like, oh, we dress as knights and ladies and such as that. But then we also got really cool freaking cars that you people will never have.
yeah. It was very very kind of there's certain scenes where it's kind of Blade Runnerish, you know, just this kind of dark cityscape, and then here comes Nimona. Just man, I loved her energy too. Her energy was just really fun, and that was a big part of keeping me captivated. Where I was just kind of on board with the fun energy of the whole thing, which is hard to do without being corny. There's a
Yeah.
lot of parts here where it was like right on the verge of being corny, you know, but it never does that. Everything seemed kind of genuine. Like the laughs were earned, or it wasn't like in these corny like parody movies where they just throw the jokes per minute. It's quantity, not quality worth of jokes. And this right here is definitely quality things that are going on. So
Yeah. So Chris and I, when we were looking through the cast of who all was voicing it. Its co-producer is actually a trans man, and so if you like look throughout the like whole movie, you can see like a lot of like colors of like the trans flag and like bisexual and stuff like that. And I thought that that was really nice. I just like that it's a lot of like good representation for like, it could be something that they like throw on and they're like, oh yeah, 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 this is a kids movie. Parents just walk away. But like, you know, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. But I like that. I like that we're seeing a lot of stuff like that in media now, as a lot of people have suspected with the whole last Spider Verse movie and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun. I think it's a nice thing to show other forms of representation that, some people are like, we don't want that. Some people are like, yeah, the rest of us don't care. We're going to watch the movie and
Right.
go
To
be
be
sad and angry about it.
to be fair, because I wasn't even looking at it and never noticed it. Uh, it was just something that just didn't even pop up on my radar. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure I could go back now. Now that you said something, I'll probably notice it. But it was just something it didn't even click in my brain that it was there. Or that yeah.
Yeah. They use like a lot because she's pink.
Mm-hmm.
And then they use like a lot of like black and white scale for like a
Yes.
lot of other things. And then a lot of the time when he's in like scenes, they kind of use like some like bluish colors and whatnot and whatever. It's nice. I like it. I like the colors that they like. Their choice of colors in this was really nice. I thought that the
Yeah.
palettes all worked really well together. Which sometimes when you're watching like some animation, you're like, ugh, they could have done this a little better or whatever, stuff like that. But it's just like little thoughts of, you know what? Let's introduce all this stuff without having to necessarily say stuff. He he he. Also, the fact that she could just like transform into anything. It's just like, be who you wanna be.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom. Anyways,
Sleeper hit of the year, man. I really hope that this shows up somewhere uh, um, on the on best of list. Possibly when award season rolls around, I would love to see this get something.
yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, we're talking Spider Verse versus the world when it comes to awards season.
Oof.
And I get it, I understand it, but boy, I'd really like for Nimona to get some flowers somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. You got anything else for it?
I had some thought, but it just totally left my little tiny peanut
I
brain, so
hate
I guess
when it
not.
does that.
Does that to me a lot.
I really hope they make a sequel.
That would be nice.
You know,
Because, at the very end, did you watch? Chris was like, well, what if they have, like, an end credit? And I was like, how many movies do that? He was like, I don't know. And so we watched. And
yeah, I
there it
watched
is,
the whole
a
thing
tiny,
too.
Yeah.
This thing had 20 minutes worth of credits.
Yeah, no, I kept skipping through, and I was like, Chris, I don't think so.
I didn't know how I was going to bring that up, but I'm glad we got to it. Yeah, when the movie ended and we cut to credits, I'm like, we still have 20 more minutes. What in the hell are we? And I fast forward. I'm like, there has to be something. And there was like a little tag, I think. I can't remember if it was mid credits or all the way at the end.
No, it was at the very end.
The very, very end, yeah, where she comes up and like does a little graffiti or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, 20 minutes of credits? Are you out of your freaking mind? But there was a ton of people that worked on this. So I'm okay. Sit there, watch the credits, applaud the whole time. Like, it's almost a perfect movie. I said it. So
What makes it not a perfect movie in your realm?
very minor things. Like there was there was kind of some pacing issues. There was uh just like not anything like big where I'm just like, oh man, I can't ever watch it again.
Yeah.
But just like a few minor things. Um, I'm not quite sure how I feel about. I kind of like it in some parts, and other parts I don't. Where like their use of, commercial music, because it kind of fit the character where they play like My Generation or something, and it kind of works. But in other parts, I'm just like, but just once, just really, really, just once, I really wanted. I would have liked for there to be a big kind of monster on monster magic battle between Nimona and not the Queen Lady, but the big bad.
Yeah.
I think that would have made. I think that probably would have pushed it into like perfect territory for me. With like that would have been a big bad monster too, and then at the end they just fight big bad monster stuff. Or if they would have been like had some kind of history or something, I don't know. But again, wishful thinking. It's not enough for me to be all upset. I still think the story was good. Everything was good about this movie. Um, Definitely like 9.5 out of 10. I mean, we're close.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that rating. It's a good one. 9.5 rhinoceroses out of 10 rhinoceroses.
Or just 5 whales.
A tiny whale.
Did you? There was one line that literally made me laugh out loud. It was you need to stop her before the whale shows up or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh god, that was a good line that I'm sure someone added like way late in post.
Oh, of course.
Like it was pretty funny. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
All right.
Nimona.
All right, so let's move on to favorite part of the show, where I ask Raven, what made you happy this week?
That's crazy, because
It feels like it's been such a short week.
it does feel like it's been a short week. I guess because there's been a holiday, and then I'm also trying to get back in the swing of all my other stuff.
Yeah.
Chris and I have our anniversary this weekend. We've
You
been
know what? If
together
you
for
want
6 years.
ooh,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to prorate your good thing that happened this week and say, me and Chris been together 6 years is your happy thing, I'm okay with that.
I mean, fair enough. We're going to have like just a nice little time this weekend. Because for the most part, we typically are busy and whatnot. Um, but yeah, we're going to the melting pot. Chris is very excited.
Ooh,
He has never been to the melting pot, and he's just like, I want to go eat cheese. And I'm like,
yeah.
me too, buddy. So we're doing that tomorrow night, and it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that's probably what is making me happiest this week is just us getting time to celebrate the fact that we've been together without him being like, wow, you really are just the dumbest person I know. Because I will say some stuff sometimes and he just kind of like looks at me and then he just has to laugh and be like, thank you. Like I'll just say some really out there stuff sometimes that like makes absolutely no sense, but in his mind it does make sense because he understands the way that my little peanut brain works and he's just like, "Okay, good for you." And then he brings it up every now and then. But yeah,
I would like to
that's
tell a real quick story.
yes.
I guess about 6 years ago, I went to go visit Chris up in Dalton, and we were going to go out for the evening to somewhere, and we hop in the car, and he starts driving, and I'm like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "You'll see." And I'm like, oh man, this is it. This is when he takes me out to a cornfield and kills me for some reason. I really don't know what's happening. And then we go and we're driving and we're going around and for some reason to remember that we were listening to Bo Burnham, and we're driving
Classic.
around some more. We might even been listening to Hamilton. Not real sure. And we're driving and we're driving. And then we pull up to this house and he's like, I'll be right back. And I'm like, is he buying drugs? And then he comes back out with you. And then you get in the back seat and he's like, Mark, this is Raven. She is my girlfriend. And I was like, oh, he's not gay. And that was when I first met you. And I was not prepared to like meet you or to put you through the paces or anything like that. I was just like, cool, Chris has a girlfriend. I think this is the first time he's actually brought a girlfriend to meet me or introduce me to one of his girlfriends, because I threatened him for absolute years when when I was in the military. I brought one of my girlfriends home for Christmas one time, and he spent the entire week I was home with this girl. He was just like,
Ooh.
he just sat in between us, and it was just like Mark, very much Amy energy.
Oh.
And I was just like, dude, I want you to know, if you ever bring a girlfriend home, I don't care how old I am or how old you are, I'm going to do the same thing to you. And it was not until I met you. You were the first girlfriend of his that I ever met. So,
And then you just started bombarding me with, so have you watched anime? Don't listen to any of Chris's recommendations. They're all shit. They're all weird. Let me tell you about every anime ever that I've ever watched. And I think about it every now and then when I start like a new anime where I'm like, I wonder if this was on Mark's list.
I can't even remember what I told you to watch.
I don't even, like, couldn't tell you because I was like, I don't know what the hell any of this shit is. And
And
now I just watch whatever I decide that I'm like, this looks interesting enough. Let me put on this over 1,000 episode long anime now. And I am so not even close to being anywhere done with it.
awesome.
What about you, Mark? What have you
Um,
done this week that's made you giddy with joy?
let's see. I'm trying to think. It's not that anything's necessarily been bad. It's just, short week. We didn't really do anything for the 4th of July. Monday, Saturday, the girls got back from their trip to Disney World, and I got a new lightsaber. And it's actually really cool looking. And I got a cool
Nice.
little display for it. And it is very hefty and weighty, and it's pretty freaking cool. I am genuinely stoked about it. It is the reforged Luke Skywalker saber, and I need to make Jedi robes now. So
That'd be
yeah,
cool. That'd be
Yeah.
really cool. You and your kids can like go out and be Jedis for Halloween.
did I
You
show
preach
you
them?
did I show you the video that we made? Like, I think it was last summer actually, where my kid was like, "Dad, let's go to the park and film a lightsaber video." Did I ever show you that?
Maybe, but like now I'm like, I don't know. I'd definitely watch it again.
I'm gonna send you the link so you can check it out. But yeah, she was just like, "Oh hey, um come on, Dad, let's go check out this thing, or let's go to the park and film this thing." And I was like, "Okay." I had a new kind of camera accessory that I was wanting to try out, and so we went to a local park, and I was like, "Okay, do this and do that," and then I got home and put the lightsaber effects to it, and we were off to the races, man. And I made, how long is it? It's a minute long, and
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So,
Oh, that's fun.
so. All right,
Fun.
everybody. Let's see. Housekeeping time. We're just doing everything, all types of crazy this week. You guys can find the show at Nerd for No Reason on Twitter, Instagram, Threads now. Yeah, we out here. We're on Facebook. We're all over the place, man. It's what a time to be alive in social media. I might even open up MySpace again.
Oh Lord.
I'm not. I'm not.
You can start a Reddit.
No, I can't because I don't have enough karma to do that.
Fair enough.
You know, we didn't talk about this because I don't know how nerdy if this is even too nerdy for everyone else, but Reddit killed their third party apps last week, last Friday actually, and I use third party apps to view. I used Apollo like millions of other people used Apollo to view my Reddit content because it was a good app, and Reddit, said, hey, you can't use third party apps anymore, and I have not used the Reddit app, and my Reddit like consumption is down because like how you are on Twitter was me on Reddit. I would be on Reddit all the damn time.
Fair.
I loved it, and I have not. It's like I quit smoking again.
Yeah, I've been doing my fair share of Reddit to try and like wean myself off of Twitter, because I'm just like at some point it's gonna die.
Just one vice for another.
Yeah, you gotta have something. That little bit of joy. I don't want to watch TikTok all the time. Sometimes you need to read. Use those little eye muscles to understand there's little weird mythical writings. But that being said, you guys can find me on Instagram at That's So Raven Ellis, and maybe I guess there'll be a thread thing that'll connect to some of that, and yada yada. We'll
Whoop, whoop.
see. We'll see. I'll check it out at some point. But yeah.
All right, y'all. Y'all go and do something wonderful in the world today.
Guys, go and just some super cool medias, and we'll see you again next week here at the Nerd for No Reason podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Uh-huh.